It's August 2nd. Welcome to Life Journal Jumpstart. I'm John Burgess, and I'm pastor here at New Hope Oahu. So glad you're here as we continue in 2 Kings 21, 2 Chronicles 33, and we continue in the book of John chapter 4. Now, as is the case with Kings and Chronicles, you're reading the same story with various kind of details, but kind of telling the same story in both 2 Kings 21 and 2 Chronicles 33 about Manasseh, son of Hezekiah. Now, Hezekiah, of course, was this amazing man of God, used by God to tear down all the altars, to restore worship, pure worship to the Lord, tear down all the idols. And yet his son, Manasseh, comes up and rebuilds, heartbreakingly rebuilds all the altars to the false gods that his fathers had torn down. And it makes me ask myself, as a father of 5 boys, how I can make sure that I'm not just ministering in the truth and conviction that I have, but that I'm also passing that on to my son, so that even when I'm dead and gone, they will be able to continue in that legacy of obedience to the Lord. So you may not have children, or maybe your children are grown and out of the house, but each of us has a legacy to leave. How can we make sure that we are passing that on to those around us? As we move into John chapter 4, one of my all-time favorite passages, as it reminds us that Jesus is not only 100% God, but he's also 100% man. He shows up at the well in Samaria. Now, first of all, Jews did not go to Samaria. They would go a long way around to get to Jerusalem because they hated Samaritans. They were considered half-breeds, and they didn't want to have anything to do with them. They worshiped at a different temple, and yet it describes Jesus as tired, thirsty, and hungry. And what you and I need to understand is that when you and I feel that same thing, that we are tired, thirsty, and hungry, Jesus understands what we're feeling. He is not so lifted above in heaven that he doesn't know what we're going through. And it's in that place that you and I can understand too, that even when the last thing we feel like doing is ministering to somebody, Jesus ministers to the woman at the well. A woman who, first of all, priests, rabbis, they don't talk to women, let alone Samaritan women. And yet Jesus, even in his weariness, is able to minister through the Spirit to this woman, prophesying over her life, and then she is used as an evangelist to her village, and almost the entire village comes out to hear Jesus. And I just think about that even in terms of sometimes when we're at our worst or our weakest, those are the times when we really have to lean in on the Spirit of Christ and say, God, would you give me a heart to minister even though I don't feel like talking or praying or prophesying over anybody. And that, God, you would even give us a heart for those who are wholly and completely different from us, that we wouldn't be prejudiced to only share the gospel with people that are like us or that agree with us. There's so much to learn in this passage. I know God's going to talk to you through it, and I'll see you tomorrow.